So Chris Ballard spoke to the media today. He kind of laid it on the line. I thought this is a really good version of Chris Ballard. Sometimes he's got a little bit too much swagger. Sometimes he's a little bit too contrite. This is a Chris Ballard that I thought was as close to just him talking about stuff as we've ever seen. It's not like he's trying to compel us to feel sorry for him. It's not like he's trying to compel us to walk with him on this journey through the season. He's just talking. And I like that version of Chris Ballard. Now, does that mean that this season is going to be really, really good for the Indianapolis Colts? Has Chris Ballard, through the last 4 years of not making the playoffs, has Ballard figured out what he needs to let go of in terms of his own dogma and decided, here's how I'm going to adjust and here's how we're going to win? Or is he still in this dogged pursuit of validating his own ethos? That's kind of the question. I think that he turned away from some of the stuff. We're building through the draft. We're not going to engage in free agency. We build through the draft. Didn't do that this time around. There have been other diversions, and you're going to hear him talk about that, where, with Phillip Rivers, with DeForest Buckner, although that was a trade, it was kind of the same thing, giving a first-round draft pick to the 49ers in order to get the opportunity to sign DeForest Buckner to an extension. There was that. So there have been moments where he's diverted from that path. But overall, it's been pretty much, we're building through the draft. That's how we do it. We build from the inside out, and off we go. This offseason, 2 major free agents in Cam Bynum and in Mooney Ward. Those guys both on the outside. One a free safety, one an outside corner. So Chris Ballard has lost a little bit of those dogmatic decisions that he made, and I think ultimately that's going to be a good thing. This is not a guy he's never been a guy you wouldn't want to sit down and drink a beer with, ever. Sure, he's a good guy. It's impersonal. It's a professional evaluation of Chris Ballard, the general manager, right? I think this is the best chance that he's had this year and the previous 4 to go to the playoffs. And we'll see if and he said it, and you'll hear him say it. You know what? They got to get the quarterback position fixed. Is it fixed? Is Anthony Richardson going to be the guy, or can Daniel Jones be the guy? If the answer is no to both, we're having a different conversation in about 5 months, right? But here's Chris Ballard today, and I think as you listen, you're going to hear a different version of Chris Ballard.
All right, going forward, I'm still getting all the medical. As of right now, nobody on PUP. All right, so Anthony is good to go. He's been throwing for about 3 weeks now. He's really upped his volume. First couple weeks will probably limit some volume, but no real restrictions other than volume restrictions. And that's something we'll keep. We have a 4-day stretch where we're practicing 4 days in a row. So this first week, you could see in day 2 or 3 a little bit of volume. We reduce his volume, but other than that, good to go. We feel good about where he's at. He's in great shape, and he's ready to hit it and move forward. I know y'all probably talked to Zaire. He's in a good place. He's not quite there yet. We will not put him on PUP because we think he's going to be ready pretty quickly. I've watched him work out, and I think he'll be ready sooner than later. Jalen, JC will be ready. I've watched him work out a bunch. He's cleared and ready to go. And same thing with Samson. Samson is cleared and ready to go. There'll be a little volume with Samson working him back in, but he's cleared and ready to hit it. All right, questions?
Chris, optimally, when do you want to know who your quarterback is going to be? Do you have to wait late in the preseason? Or?
I think when Shane and the staff and I and our staff feels like there's a sure starter, then we'll move forward to that. Timeline, I can't put one on it.
What's the plan? I mean, Shane can speak to this, but what's the plan in terms of how you get a good look at both of them and how you split the reps and everything?
I think everything, I think it starts now. Look, OTAs is, that's important, but there's not any pads on, all right? So, now that we're getting the pads and the work, I've always viewed OTAs as a developmental aspect of our game, which we're losing a little bit. But it's that's a teaching and learning and developmental time. This is when we crank up. So everything will be evaluated, from practices to any kind of scrimmages we do, preseason games. All of that will be evaluated.
How much of a game element do you view as critical with those two?
I think it's important that they get into games and we'll play them. So I do think that's important.
Chris, is the conversation going forward with Anthony just related to volume? I know he had like the aggravation. They said it was, I think Shane said he was from just overuse or stress. Is that a conversation you all have about how to monitor him going forward, just in general, considering his shoulder?
Yeah, and some things he's doing strength-wise, and the volume of throws each and every week, which we track, and sometimes it gets a little out of whack. So we just got to make sure we're on top of it.
Do you feel like Anthony's got to make up anything for what he missed in the spring?
He didn't miss enough. What did he miss? 3 or 4 days. It wasn't like it was the whole off season. And I'm proud of Anthony. I mean, his mindset, he didn't. It's tough when you get hurt. Like, anytime you get hurt, like, you feel like you're letting somebody down. Like a player, it's different in the OTAs, but during the season. But like when you get hurt, it's a tough deal on him mentally, and I'm proud of him. He worked through it. He went to work. He's in great shape. So, no, I don't. I don't think it'll affect him.
Chris, there's a lot of things players can work on, footwork, whatever technique. With injuries, I mean, with him, can you just sort of not worry about it? You just let him play and
God's plan. I mean, I wish I could control injuries. If we could, I would get out of this and go start a business doing that. Because you'd make a lot of money doing it. No, I mean, it's. Look, sometimes things happen. Guys get hurt. You wish it wouldn't happen, but it does, and you move forward no matter what.
What have been your big takeaways just being around Daniel Jones for a short period of time?
Good dude, really good guy. Centered. He's been through a lot. Daniel's been like he's seen, and being in New York and the scrutiny on being a top 10 pick is not for everybody. But I thought he handled it with grace and class, like you would expect, and that's who he is. And Daniel's talented. I mean, Daniel's a very talented player, so it'll be a fun competition to watch between these two guys. They're both very talented.
You preach competition a lot with that position, but there is a challenge to having two different quarterbacks kind of interchangeably with the offense. So I guess, are you confident that your skill players are ready now to handle that? And does that, will that factor in at all to wanting to get an answer earlier rather than later?
No, I think they can handle it. I mean, it's a veteran, even though they're young, they've all played a ton, and they've taken throws from both of them. So, no, their job's to get open and catch the football. So no, I don't see us pressing the timeline because of that.
Chris, you talk about being injured is mentally tough. It's also got to be hard mentally on the player.
Yeah.
High draft pick. Have a guy brought in to compete with him. What have you seen from Anthony that tells you that he's going to be okay with that aspect?
It was, like when you're young and like sometimes when you get hurt, you kind of, it's easy to go into a shell. But he was, his mindset stayed very positive. I think once he heard from Dr. Elatrosh and our doctors that it wasn't a major concern going forward and that this was going to heal in a short amount of time, I think that eased his mind, which it would do anybody. But no, I'm proud of him. He's growing. He's still young, but he's growing. I told you all this before, but unfortunately, growth does not happen through success. Growth happens through, you have to go through a lot of shit. And, a lot of times people don't have success because they don't want to go through it. Sometimes you got to go through it.
Chris, flipping to defense, Buck said today that last year's defense was the worst that he's been a part of being in Indy. So now that you brought in Lou, what changes do you expect to see from that side of the ball, and how much pressure is there to perform this season?
Well, look, all of us, and Buck's right, and look, Gus Bradley and that staff, those are good football coaches. Let me preface that. Those guys are really good football coaches, and all of us have our name on it. Like me, coaches, players, everybody has their name on it. I think, Lou's a little different. You're going to see some schematic change, probably a little more diversity within the scheme. But look, at the end of the day, this game is not hard. Like blocking and tackling, and don't turn it over. Usually you can track those things to wins. All right, we've got to be a better tackling team. Hopefully I've helped them, and my staff and I have helped them by giving them, more players to create a little more competition. But we've got to be a better tackling defense, without question. And, hopefully we've added the pieces to help that.
You talked about the competition aspect of it right after the season. I think you can probably make a case that across the board, every unit has some level of competition. And did it hit the level that you hoped to accomplish back in January?
I think so. I think we've got look, of course there's a few jobs that with great players that they're going to play no matter, they're great players. And so I don't worry about them, but to watch, Tanner and Bortolini, compete, Jalen Travis and Freeland. I think Travis has got a really good ceiling to what he's going to become in our league. And Freeland has gotten stronger and bigger and stronger, which has been really encouraging. On the defensive line and I think it gets underscored a little bit because you probably didn't notice, but we think Neville Gallimore is going to really help us. He had a really good offseason. He's a really good dude. And we think he's going to add some real needed interior depth. But with the addition of Tim Smith and then Tommy. Tommy had a great offseason. So this is going into year 3 and a big year for him. So I think you can point to a lot of different spots. Corner, with Wally, Juju, and Jones. That's going to be a good one to watch. And let me tell you, Wally is competitive now. He's a little pit bull. And it's fun to watch those type of competitions take place. I think at linebacker, we're going to have really good competition. A lot of unknown names. That's okay. Nobody knew who Zaire Franklin was. Nobody knew who Darius. Hell, we drafted Darius with a 36 pick, and y'all didn't know who he was. So, they got to make their own name by their play. Okay. So I think we've got good competition across the board.
Chris, you have high expectations every year, obviously, each individual year, but when you have a string of playoff misses, the message from your players this morning was like, this has to end.
Yeah.
How do you see it? And is there additional pressure because it's been a few years?
Look, I'm not, excuse that. It didn't come out. I promise
My
it
bad.
did. It did not come out. It almost did. It was just the F part. The UCK did not come out. Yeah, it sucks, man. It's the first time in my career I've ever gone 4 years without making, no, it's a bothersome thing, especially with the expectations we have here in Indy. That's the one thing with Jim that I always appreciated, man. Like he don't want to be average. He wants to be great. And that's Carly and I. Look, we spend a lot of time together because she's around us so much. But she always said, look, I don't want to be good. I want to be great. And that's always the goal going in. And 22 was 22. The 23 season, last game of the year, we're right there. And even last year at the end, we didn't play as good as I thought we should have, but we were still kind of in the mix. And then you go back to 21, and we're in the driver's seat, and we piss it down our legs. We have got to finish better. Like that, at the end of the day, we have to finish the seasons better because we've had some really good football teams that just haven't got it done.
Chris, Sit kind of echoed that, saying that there's a little bit of optimism knowing that they were so close last season despite playing poorly. How close do you think this group is to getting back to the postseason?
I don't know. It starts, look, we're kind of, I think we've got a good football team. And how good we become will play out over time. We got to go to work. It's always about there's not a magic pill that you can take. There's nothing, there's not a magic wand. Yeah, you got to go to work. You know, one thing you love about the NFL is you got to earn the right to win. And it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a group being connected and coming together. That's what's great about training camp. So kind of day by day, we'll go to work and we'll see if we can reach what we think we can be.
Chris,
Is there any added pressure at all when there is a shift in ownership, or does it feel the same as it's been every year?
Pressure. I mean, people talk about pressure. Pressure. First, the change in ownership, no, that they understand what Jim wanted, and I think they'll do things differently, but and they'll do things their way, but also with their father on their minds. I think the whole time. And then when you talk about pressure, I mean, like we get to play football for a living. Let's like it to me. It's all for me in general. Like, it's always about the journey. Like, the journey is the reward, okay? The good and the bad. Like, at the end, like when you roll up at the end of your life and you look back, it's not going to all be roses, okay? But to be able to do what I do and what we're able to do is play football every day. I don't ever take that for granted. That's not pressure in my mind. That's being blessed. Pressure is the family that is living week to week on paycheck trying to feed their kids. That's pressure. This is entertainment, and I have been blessed my entire career to be able to do something I love and I'm passionate about, and I will never one day take that for granted. Even the shit I have to sit up here and take sometimes, it's okay, because I could do something else that I didn't love.
Chris is getting Bernie done a priority.
Contracts. I mean, I won't talk about that, but he's a really good player, and we think a lot of him.
So I know perhaps a different word, pressure or whatever, but in the space you're in, there is a certain level of expectation. And when Carly was saying, she said that, you and Shane, they know it hasn't been good enough, or that we have to fix this. So when you hear her say that, I guess, how do you feel about that?
No different than I feel about anything. Like, I don't know if y'all realize the amount of scrutiny that we put on ourselves. It's much harder than you. And I don't ever, if I go into something worried about the outcome and it being a negative outcome, that's no way to live, man. You can't live that way. I come to work and try to be the best steward I can be for this organization and for this city. That's what I try to do every day. That's it. And look, one day they're going to have a different GM. That's part of our league. I don't know when that'll happen, but I don't sit around thinking. I don't think about that.
Knowing that, how hard is it for you to grade yourself after 4 years and not going to the playoffs, saying, I work my ass off, I do my best, but I've got to adjust somehow? How difficult is that?
It's not, I'm stubborn. I think y'all all know that. But I think we did in a lot of ways we did. And I think that's all part of growth. Being able to really look internally and figure out, okay, this is what we're doing. There's a lot of really good things that are very valid. But also being able to sit back and say, okay, we need to do things a little bit differently. And those discussions and collaborations with our staff was good. And I think we did do some things a little differently than we have in the past.
What do you feel like
Take a
those
couple
are?
more.
Those might be obvious to you, but what do you feel like those are, things you did do differently?
Well, we were more aggressive in free agency than, I say, y'all say we never do. I disagree. I've always disagreed. I've told you that. The year we signed Buckner and Rivers and, but we were more aggressive at the onset of free agency. And I think the guys, the players we signed are going to really help us and be good Colts.
After years of, being kind of on the hamster wheel of not making the playoffs, and you talk about having confidence in your process, what gives you that confidence, and why should other people have confidence in your process when the end result hasn't been there the last 4 years?
Yeah. Look, anytime you don't make the playoffs, people are going to question what you do. But at the end of the day, you have to believe in something. We have to have, if we are vacillating on what everybody else says and thinks, then we really don't believe in anything. We don't. We have no belief in anything if we're not willing to believe in what we're doing. I do believe, I think we've drafted really well. I think we all, and done some, and not been perfect by any stretch. Not by any stretch. I'm not saying we're perfect, but I think we've done some good things. And I think we've done some good things with the team. But at the end of the day, we have the one position we all know. We have to get the quarterback settled, and get that position carries such an importance to just almost the state of your team when you've got that position solidified. He's one of 53, and it's not all about him, but he's an important piece.
Chris, how much has the last 2 years with Anthony, the injuries, kept you guys from being settled offensively, just in terms of learning him, being able to develop the identity? It feels like, usually as a new quarterback, it takes like 6 games, and then you guys kind of figure something out. But it's been in and out so much. Has the coaching staff had a chance to really learn that?
I'm trying to get with what you're getting at here. I mean, like, our offensive philosophy, it's going to change a little bit, when Anthony's in the game. And I think Daniel and Anthony are similar in a lot of ways. Now, Gardner and Anthony were completely different. Flacco and Anthony were completely different. So I think you'll see more, continuity, and really all of our quarterbacks now. They all, have ability to do some things with their feet. So I think you'll see more, of a similar offense with each guy. Now, you figure out what each one of them are really good at, and you try to do that. That's the one thing I always appreciated about Coach Reed in Kansas City. Like, whatever the quarterback was, man, he could fit it. And, Shane can do the same thing. But now we have, the group is they're different, but there's some similarities. So I think the offense will be able to carry over a little bit more.
Do you view this year as a make or break year for Anthony? And I know you've said this to follow up to that. Why not? Considering that he's going into year 3, you do have the option coming up, that decision. But I guess why is your timeline perhaps different than one I might have perceived or at the outside world?
Do you think people regret Baker Mayfield's timeline? Sam Darnold's timeline? Let's just go.
They would say they changed teams.
Exactly. And so how about sometimes you got to have a little patience with a guy and let them grow through things. Now, there's got to be, like, if you just know this guy, no, he can't do it. But if you think, hey, he's on the right trajectory, why are you gonna flush him just because people outside think you should flush him? I don't agree with that. I think we need to give Anthony every chance to be the best he can be, and I think he can be really good. But things got to come together.
So, just to touch a pin on that, how have the injuries complicated, trying to have that?
Oh, there's no question it's complicated. I mean, you miss, like, you just think about missing and I know the mental reps, yes. But it's physical reps, just practice reps. All that stuff, when you miss it, yeah, it does. It delays the timeline a little bit.
Chris, you talked about the poor end of seasons. Obviously, the week 1 storyline is still there. When you think about both of those things, start, finishes, anything training camp-wise you guys have done to try and change how you start and or finish seasons?
This will be a pretty physical training camp, okay? And Shane and I have had long talks about that. This game is still, look, toughness still wins. It does. And I think that, we're limited enough as it is without pads. And the NFL and I think football in general has done an unbelievable job taking the head out of the game. Okay, they're teaching much different than they did 10, 15 years ago. They've taken the head out of the game, but it's still a physical game, all right? And I think to be physical, you have to practice physical. You do. So I think you'll see a little switch there.
You talked about the trajectory with AR. what things have you seen just trajectory-wise to give you hope that he can figure it out, considering the injuries, the accuracy, the benching, things like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, there was a 3-game run, 3 or 4 game run, after his benching when he came back, that was really good. I think we'd all agree that was a great stretch of football. And there's been stretches of accuracy that's been really good. The Jet game was, that's probably the best game he played in his career against a really good defense. The record didn't show it, but that team defensively was really good. And then what really gives me a lot of hope, so I don't know if you can think back to these moments, but all right, the end of the Pittsburgh game, people forget we had to get a first down there. He threw a pass to Pittman to get the first, to kind of get the clock down. In pressure moments, his ability to slow it down and make a play, he's shown it multiple times. You go back to his rookie year against the Rams. We're down, 23-0, brings us back to tie the game. The Jet game, to win it. He had to make throws to win it. New England, 4th down throw to get us within, the 2-point conversion. So there's been some signs in pressure moments that he can get things done. Now we just got to be able to do it all the time.
So there's Chris Ballard, and I think that's about as naked as he's ever been in performance with the media, talking to us about where he is kind of in his own head. So I asked him about the difficulty, right? The difficulty of knowing that the decisions that he's made, it's not like he came in here 4 years ago and the Colts haven't won a playoff game, right? And haven't gone to the playoffs. And those are the only 4 years, right? He was here from 17 through these past 4 years. So his decisions have led to the mediocrity that the Colts are submerged in at this point. And so the difficulty of kind of pivoting away from things that you believe in toward a different reality, that's got to be really difficult for a guy like Chris Ballard to say, okay, maybe I got to moderate some of my views about things and be a little bit more multiple. We talk about Lou Anarumo as a defensive coordinator, right? Multiple schemes they're going to employ depending upon the opponent. Well, the opponent for Chris Ballard is not going to the playoffs. And so he had to change a little bit of how he operates. And I think his description of that, I think, was really interesting because he is in an interesting position, right? Most of us, we never get to be in that kind of position, to be the general manager, to be the CEO, to have what you say goes. And granted, he answers to people. He's answered to Jim Irsay and now to Carly Irsay-Gordon. So it's not like he's the tip of the spear, but he's damn close. He's closer than a lot of us will ever be. And I think that he really had to look at himself this offseason in the mirror and say, okay, you know what? In a lot of ways, I didn't get it done, and I got to change what I do, not who I am, but what I do and how I do it a little bit. Interesting stuff from Chris Ballard. I don't know whether what he said makes me feel better, makes me feel more optimistic about this season, but it did make me like the man more, if not the results of what that man has done over the past 8 years and now into a 9th year with the Colts. But a more likable version of Chris Ballard for sure.